name's Joe Prokop, and for my CAP 400 disciplinary perspective, I'll be over my major, national security. I also have a minor in German, but learn more of the culture aspect of the language and not actually speaking it. So let's go over to national security. So some of the careers you can get into are military, federal agencies, homeland security, defense contractors, and cybersecurity. Now, there's a lot of other career fields you can get into through this major, but these are the ones I'm focusing on. So the route I'm going to the Coast Guard. I start that in July, and that's just part of the military. And following my active duty, I want to look at a federal agency like the Marshals or ATF, DEA, something like that. So you guys all know the branches of the military, but the federal agencies, DEA, that's a drug enforcement agency. The Marshals, the ATF is alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. You know, the FBI and the CIA, and the Secret Service, and I mean, ICE is pretty hot as of now. Yeah, so I interned with the Marshals over the summer, and I learned a lot about what they do. So all of those federal agencies, they intertwine, so they all work together in a sense. Like when I was with the Marshals, they work with the DEA and the ATF a lot, and sometimes FBI. So the DEA was created because the FBI, if they were only going to focus on drug enforcement, they would have nothing else to do. Like they wouldn't be able to focus on other tasks. So that's why the DEA was created. The Homeland Security, that was created after 9/11. America was pretty vulnerable after that, and that brought about TSA, Heavy Border Patrol, and the Department of Homeland Security. And then you've always had FEMA, that's a Federal Emergency Management Agency, and they handle like natural disasters in the States. So like Katrina was a big one. So to be educated in national security, you're going to look at international relations and global power structure, the history and causes of conflict, war, and diplomacy, political ideologies and how they shape state behavior, thinking beyond one's own national and cultural perspective, understanding moral and legal ways to go about conflict, and understands chain of command, government structure, and interagency coordination. So I talked about that with the Marshals and how they work with other federal agencies. Chain of command is a huge one when you're looking at the federal level. It's all respected throughout the military and government. International relations, I mean, you look at like NATO, the UN, like it's very important for us to keep up when like our foreign ties with our with our allies. Then you have our enemies like Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and I mean we try to build peace with those countries the best we can. Then looking at like the history of conflict and war, it's important to study history so you know what caused those wars and how we can prevent them in the future. Political ideologies, how they shape state behavior. Looking at like how our government works now, like it's very different than the past 4 years with our old administration, and it causes some divide in the country. So looking at own perspectives and culturals, I mean, we're obviously very fortunate to be in a democratic country, and there's other nations out there where boys and girls and men and women don't have the same rights we do, and we need to be able to look into their shoes and see what they're going through. And then understanding moral and legal ways to go about conflict. Obviously, we can't just destroy a country. That's a lot of ethical issues. Can't really kill civilians, and nobody wants that. So questions the field asks. How do we protect the nation from internal and external threats? You look at like the federal agencies that I was listing, those handle most of the stuff inside the US. And external threats, I mean, we have our military pretty abroad. We have about 800 military bases throughout the world. So they all work together with our allies to keep the world safe. Emerging technologies and how they alter the balance of power. As of recent, there's been heavy investments in like AI, hypersonic weapons by like China and Russia, along with cybersecurity too. And that's something the US needs to put more in their defense budget, and that'll help better protect the world. Policies, technologies, and intelligence, and how they shape security outcomes. That's another question they ask. So how do people in this field go about answering these questions? So there's 6 steps really. So you have gathering intel, there's open source, which is like what you see on the news, media outlets, all that stuff. Classified intel, that's more of what our federal agencies are able to obtain. So just think like there's databases that our government has access to that like you can find everything under the sun about somebody. A little scary. Signal intel, so that's basically like if you want to tap someone's phone off a cell tower, like you can do that inside the states if there's probable cause to do that. And then geospatial intel, that's satellite imagery, and we have quite a few of those in our space. And you have analysis and interpretation, that's identifying patterns, inconsistencies, and red flags. You have scenario building and risk assessment, so they look at the best and worst case scenarios and unintended consequences. Then you have policy and strategy formulation, long-term and current situations. You have collaboration and interagency coordination, I was talking about that, and that's with the intel agencies and the military branches for the main part. Then you have ethics, laws, and oversight. So US laws looked at, international law, and human rights. So why is this perspective important? Ensures the protection of political institutions, economy, and civil liberties. Provides evidence-based insight into defense spending, alliances, and foreign relations. And this helps respond to cyber threats, pandemics, and terrorism. So looking at contributions to human knowledge, this majors for building strategic thinking and critical analysis, enhances crisis management and leadership skills, builds global awareness and ethical decision making, and contributes to peace building and conflict resolution. Any questions?
Questions, comments, discussion?
So in order to like be in like the CIA or like higher up like government jobs, you have to go like through the military first, or?
Yeah, so like think of like the military as like a resume builder.
Okay.
So like I'm trying to go to a federal agency after, and when I was interning with them, they wanted me to like get like 4 to 6 years of active duty or like local law enforcement. So
So they don't like normally hire right out of like college?
no, that's not.
Okay.
I should have said that, but yeah, it's like a lot of these departments you don't really get into until you're say like 30 years old probably, and you got to spend a lot of time in DC.
I was interested in your framing of some of this around like the importance of knowing other people's culture. I don't think you used the word empathy, but I think that's what you're getting at, like trying to understand other people's experiences and recognizing that,
Well, yeah.
you know, like that's really cool, and I appreciate hearing that from the national security, you know, in that field. Do you think people who work in this field think of themselves as peace builders? Like, do you think that they, because I come at some of these same questions that you do from the side of like peace building and social justice, right? But I often think that we're talking about the same kind of things, just using different maybe methodologies to get there. And so I just wonder sometimes, do people in this realm think of themselves as, like, do they think of their work as being proactively peace building rather than, you know, trying to fight conflict with violence or that sort of thing?
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of them do, and I think that our chief in commander right now, his last term, he ended all the wars in the world. Well, all the wars the U.S. were involved in, not the world. And that's a big drum.
He did what? He ended all the wars?
He ended all the wars the United States was in from 2016 to 2020. Like all that conflict. So yes, like their main goal is national security and the protection of our U.S. citizens, but yes, we do look to stop world conflict and protect human rights.